Mr. Ben Mark.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well.
Excellent. Always good. So today what me and Ben are going to go through is essentially a handful of things that Ben's a business owner and I'm going to let him introduce himself, but more so what we're going to go through is how kind of more into the personal development realm rather than just, the training, the nutrition. So a little bit different to what other podcasts may be like and little YouTube videos. So to begin things off, rather than me butchering the details, do you want to introduce yourself? And a lot of people listening probably already know you are, but let's go from there.
So, my name's Ben Mark. I am a professional fitness photographer and content creator. I got into fitness through my own weight loss journey, lost 38 kilos when I first lost weight. And for me, it was very much about the person that I found inside of that from where I was. Not I was necessarily in like a very bad place. Just being in a relationship, she would lose £3 and order a pizza to celebrate. So we never really got anywhere with that. And so from that side of things, it was like, it showed me so much. I used to play football as a kid, loved like the kind of competitive, like want to challenge, like do that. And it was going back into the gym or getting into the gym, losing the weight, seeing a different person come out myself was unbelievable. Like just seeing what I could create. Obviously, for obvious reasons, that relationship then went very south. And from that allowed me to then find this person in myself. And then when I lost weight, I helped my coach at the time to get a load of content for, his website and stuff like that. I used to do photography, but more like mountain bike and BMX type stuff.
I remember that.
And then it got to a place where he asked me some fitness stuff. I quite enjoyed it because it was that kind of sporty challenge, but it was also like more progression. And I think like something that I've really found out about myself is I couldn't really care what subject it is. Like if there's progression, there's something to learn in there. Like I'm like, right, I'm like like a sponge, like take it all in, just want to learn. And that's what then got me here today, where quit full-time employment. Got fortunate enough to like kind of get a lot of work coming in, maybe because I'm just good with people and just like the photography kind of kept improving. And it got to a place where it was like, right, let's commit into this. Let's do something mega. And now today I get to travel around the world, meet amazing people, change lives, captured progress. And it's just amazing what that journey, regardless of taking a camera with me, is like opened up. When you take photos, there's so much passion and pride in those photos, but then it gets to a point where the person that you're photographing becomes more important than just the photo. Like that experience of the person going through it, seeing a different version of themselves. And I suppose on this journey, it's allowed me to really dig deep into what I actually like about all of this lot and what I want to help people achieve.
Yeah.
Instead of just being that end goal where it's like you come in, you do your photo shoot, you look amazing, I go, there you go, thank you, off you go. Now I'm trying to add a little bit more into it just because it's more interesting. I could easily just go, there's your photos, bye. Yeah. And that's just me.
Yeah. We both know that as well, because it's like every time someone describes yourself and like describes what you do, it's not just photography. Is you're bringing out a different style. You're bringing out someone that's already inside, but they need to be brought out. And you mentioned something I absolutely love, where it's like that training and that transformation was a catalyst for other things in your life, where you kind of realize what you want through that whole experience. And you see the same with the guys and girls on our program, where it's a case of they use that transformation to achieve bigger goals on top of that. And it's epic to drop 20 kilograms, 30 kilograms and see that weight loss, but that becomes where it starts. And it's the same for myself when I went from my own journey, where it's like, from skinny fat to where I want to obviously be now, it's more of a standpoint of that was just surface level. What that allowed you to achieve is more bigger. And I always say your transformation tends to be the catalyst for your self-improvement every single time.
It opens the pathway to realise that it's the only thing that I can describe that allows you to see the benefits purely for yourself. Like, let's say, I don't know, you play tennis, it's like just you, but you go into the gym and okay, you might have a plan or you might have a coach that's giving you like, do this. So, okay, you wouldn't know what to do, but like with tennis, you need someone hitting the ball back at you or like challenging you. Whereas in the gym, you've just got nothing else. You just have to go and make that work. And I think that's what's so special about weight training in that sense, is that it literally is you. Like if you kind of learn what to do, to a point where now me and you, obviously I know you're a coach, but like I don't necessarily need a coach to go in and train.
Yeah, you want one instead.
But like the benefit of it obviously is having a coach is just, they take the thinking away and you just go, right, I just need to process, especially at the level I'm at where I don't give it time to fart, let alone think about like something like that. So having a coach for me is just a simple way of just getting a result. And then you lean on those people, especially when you have those tough times where you need that. But the best thing from my side of things is like, I had that coach who allowed me to, he wanted to get a result out of me because I was his first big transformation. And obviously, who he is, the where he's at now in life is unbelievable. And I was at the start of that journey. And yet what it then allowed me to see was like, wow, if I could do that for myself, that then showed me, well, if I could do that for myself, what else can I do? And it's so many other things, like just my work life, like when I was single at the time, like my confidence going through the roof. I just was happy to go and talk to people. Like weirdly, like I've always been quite a heavy guy. So for me, like my weight always sat around like my stomach and everything there. I started noticing like females were looking at my chest, like they look past it almost like guys would with a, without being too sexist.
Get them off from guys.
Guys looking down, like looking over, going checking it out. Whereas I started seeing females like looking at me and taking notice of my chest, and I was thinking like, wow, this feels good. Like it builds your confidence up. And what I've really come to learn from this whole thing is that you go through this process, you lose weight. The person that comes out at the end of it has typically got one or two things that they want out of it. They either want to feel attractive and they're nervous to say it. They just want to go, I just feel like I look like a model, or I look like someone who knows what they're doing, right? Or they're doing it because someone at some point or something happened that they needed to overcome, and that was the reason for it. So it kind of gives them that, okay, that's the reason why I'm doing it. And a lot of the people I've found, and I shoot a hell of a lot of women, they always say to me, I come to you because I feel like I can be that version of myself without being judged. And I think that's what a lot of people are worried about. They go down to that route and they go, I don't want to be judged. Like, what if I don't look good enough? And I'm like, who's to say you don't look good enough? Do you feel and look better than you did when you started this process? Yes. Do you feel more confident? Do you feel more attractive? When you're wearing your underwear, do you feel sexy? Do you feel confident? Do you feel like you could do whatever you want? Yeah, then show us that. That's all we need. We need you to show us. It's very simple. It really isn't very complex, but so many people get so overwhelmed with it.
1,000%.
And I think this is where like the simplicity of these things is like, yes, if you're going to go down this route, ideally getting a coach is going to make it simple, right? Having a process to follow is going to make it simple. When you're trying to be something, keeping it simple is easier because also you can do it repeatedly instead of trying to be too complex and there be too many things. And so weight loss is an amazing start point. It's like that thing of like, I did that, now what else can I achieve? And the amount of people that I meet, I think, wow, you'd be a brilliant coach. And I've said it to them, and then they've all gone on and been coaches. I've been some people that like, you'd look at them and go, wow, you could compete next week. And they didn't even realise that they looked like a competitor. And they've gone on to compete a couple of weeks later and they've gone, I actually placed, like I couldn't believe it. And for them and just their mindset and everything moving forward has been phenomenal. So yeah, like the weight loss experience, or whether it's weight gain or just that change and that commitment into being that, it's so powerful for many other things. It's not, and I think it's just the hard thing of, you've got to change your routine and your structure first. That's the thing you've got to get comfortable with, is like your morning routine, your day routine, your night routine is going to change. You just need time to adapt to that. And then when you get to that threshold of I've adapted to that, then if you need more,
you're laughing at that point.
You know that, okay, I know the process now. I know what this takes. And so, and that's why it's amazing really. Like I've been very fortunate to capture so many people's transformations, but meeting so many different varieties of people, because every coach is slightly different. Every coach has got a different way. Some people are more wellness based and they just want people to feel more confident in themselves. Some people want them to be like so jacked that there's, not an ounce of fat on them, And that's what I mean. And then you get the variety of it. And then I get to learn what ticks with those people. But it's always the same things. They're overcoming something, or they just want to feel attractive.
Yeah. It's like you're running away from something and running towards something. That's the two types of motivation, isn't it? Like I think some guys come to us because they're in a position where they don't want to be that, so they're running away from that. and they get to a place where they get happy, they get more comfortable. And from there, their motivation changes where it's I'm actually not running away from that anymore. I'm running towards something else. And it's kind of identify which one it is for you. And that's going to change. Like when I started mine, it was when I did that photo shoot last November, it was like, I'm running towards this person here, I'm running away from that. And now I'm running towards something different. And it's kind of like you operate from scarcity of vision. That's more so it. So what have I not got compared to what can I get? That's our transformations. I think that's the motivation behind them a lot of times. Oh, transformations in general, not just physical. But
what would you say from us working together and me meeting the very shy, timid person that was at the start?
April last year, that was.
And just like, I knew that you had everything in there that you needed. It was just a case of like, you just needed to patch it all together to a point now where you're doing podcasts, you're pushing things forward, I know your business has excelled. What for you would say the fundamental things that, regardless, I'm not interested in the business stuff. What are the things that you would say have been the big things that you didn't even realize that would change, but have changed for you?
I can see a lot of that, to be fair. Experiences, massively, with other people and being able to actually have done different things. I kind of kept myself confined. I'm only going to do these things because I'm used to it. And then you're like, no, I'm just going to see what else I can do. And for me, like that photo shoot initially, you literally said it like, I remember that first conversation, I was like, I know where I want to be by the next shoot. And by the next shoot, that was my whole thing because we did it every 3 months and I was like, I know where I want to be the next time and how much I want to develop. The thing that changed for me is more of a key. So when I can focus on myself, I attracted the right people in. And as a result of that, I kind of view the world differently. I had more confidence because you kind of build yourself a tribe and then you actually find that because you've worked on yourself, you attract the right people and those people lift you up to higher standards. For me, it was just, I think the biggest thing that's changed that actually allowed me to achieve what I want was more of a case of the people that are around me massively. And that only came first because I focused on myself first. And then I found, you know what, I'm developing and all of a sudden you attract the right people. But if I didn't do anything to kind of spare that on, like creating experience, such as like doing a photo shoot, pushing myself, trying to work harder, I don't think that would have happened. So I think for me, the biggest experience was more of a case. I worked hard on myself and I did it by myself. There's a lot of isolation. I not really got like a social group, etc. But it's for me, it was kind of going all into myself and my business and be like, right, blinkers on. And all of a sudden you attract people that actually focus on it. And that actually allows you to push to the next levels.
Yeah.
So I think building your tribe, but more so people try to find other people. Like they're trying to find the tribe. And I think you naturally attract it. And I feel like I'm pretty proud of in terms of people I'm around as a result. Like recently, Reese, Julian, other people. And it's like, as a result of that, they've kind of uplifted you and they've helped you in other areas. And you're like, you kind of you feel limitless to some degree. You're like, I can achieve anything I want because you're around those people. So that transformation for me was like a milestone. I knew that. And I was like, I want to do it next year and see where I can come. And just do as much as I can, create as many experiences as I can. And for me, it was just, how much can I do? That's the biggest thing for me.
And like, extending on that, I see it with so many different people where when they actually go through that process where they get a coach, they get that transformation, you can see the little friendships they've made in the communities and stuff. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you start looking at those things around you. Like I remember when I did my weight loss journey, I was working in television and everyone was in their mid 50s, overweight, couldn't understand. Like one of the guys said, you look triangular, just because I'd lost my waist and like got shoulders. And they were just like, I hadn't seen them for 3 months because it wasn't the time to go on the work. And I came back from it and I suddenly realized I can't be around these people. I'm not getting anywhere. 1,000%. And much like you were in a similar position where you're like, okay, I'm not getting anywhere by being this. What if I take these opportunities to go and be that person I want to be? And then all of a sudden, oh look, one door opens up. All of a sudden, another door opens up. Hang on, there's 10 opportunities here.
1,000%.
What do I now? What do I want to do? Not what should I do? It's like
it's kind of up to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You feel limitless,
and now, like you can throw things out there and you go like, oh, actually, like I'm going to Dubai in a couple of weeks. You were like, where should I do my next shoot? I said, how does Dubai sound? And just hearing in your voice, you were like, there's an opportunity. It wasn't suddenly like, oh, hang on, there's a cost there. It was like, what a learning experience I could have. What can I gain? What can I be around? And so
that was big for me.
There's so many big things about that transformation, that key, getting in there and doing it, that allow you to just go, boom, okay, I can see the world in a different way.
There's a quote that stuck with me is that you need to do the things that you think you can't do, just show yourself that you can. And that's the biggest thing for me. And I was like, can't do a photo shoot, but now I'm going to just sort of hold on to that. And I'm like, oh, I went through all these years in 15 hours. And then I look back and I'm like, I wish I did that. So that's the reason, like, we're doing a seminar in Texas in November. And like, the reason why I do that is so I can look back and say, I've done that. And I'm like, I don't think I can, but I'm going to make it work. I'll find a way. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. And when we had that call, I think we were like, oh, should we do a shoot here? Should we do it in Sheffield and Manchester? You know, I'm going to Dubai. I was like, all right, let's do it there. And it was like, click. I think that's the best way. I say it to clients, I'm like, winners don't wait. If you can just leap at opportunities, then you'll look back and be like, I've done so much now. That's transformative. Whereby if you're like, I want to do it, I'm not sure if we can. That's the worst that I hear from people. And it's like, you have a limiting belief. And mine used to be that, but like the best way to break that is actually just going head first, because you'll figure it out.
It's just taking action and learning, isn't it? It's just been in a place where you go, you know what? I'm here. I now need to learn. Yeah. You know, if I thrusted you into a dancing competition, you're suddenly going to go, I'm going to learn how to dance pretty quickly. I've got to learn this. Yeah. I'm here. I've got to do something. So I think that's what I mean. Thrust yourself into those situations. Take a chance to learn. Take a chance to be something different. And you'll just be amazed at what happens, how quickly you learn to sink or swim. And I think that's where you kind of go, I'll try a few things and actually this really sticks.
Yeah, that sink or swim is the biggest thing. It's like, you either make it, you don't. It's like, you kind of, are you doing it to win or are you doing it to complete? Like, just complete. And it's like, I'd rather do it properly if I'm going to do it. That's the biggest thing. What keeps you going now? What's like your driver?
Family first. Like I will go back to a stage where I was very. So I was comparing myself. I've never been someone who like completely just like shuts down when things happen. I always keep grafting away and keep working. But I was comparing myself, kept thinking maybe I wasn't as good as what I was hoping I was going to be and so on. And I ended up writing a letter to my son before he was born. And I was advised to put in there who I was, who I'd become, who I was going to be. And since then, I've added in, when I've said people go and do it, like the forfeit of the cost of not being that. And that for me, like I cried my eyes out when I wrote it. I was like, damn, like that went deep. Yeah. It was the first time I was honest with myself. And that's what most people aren't. They're not prepared to be that honest with themselves and feel that vulnerable in order to find that person within inside themselves. Now, I'm not just saying that everyone should go out and have children to have a reason why, because there's a lot more to it than just having a child. But even if I will literally, obviously I've got a daughter on the way coming very soon. I will do absolutely everything for them and my wife to make sure that they're comfortable, they're safe, and we can have experiences. If it wasn't for Dylan, Jade, and baby, we don't know her name of yet.
Ooh, I thought you were going to make the announcement.
Yeah, imagine that. Straight out, and her name is. If it wasn't, I have come to realise that this is going to sound a little bit big-headed, but I've realised a lot of people rely on me, not just for photos. There's been many a conversation I've had where people have just suddenly gone, I need to have a conversation with someone who wants to progress, but also just wants the best for me. And even if I didn't have the fortune of having my amazing family, I think I'd still be just as driven, just purely because I want to make sure that someone who's sitting out there that has maybe worked with me at some point, who is struggling or just needs a bit of clarity, like, therapists are amazing, right? I've only spent a very little bit of time talking to one, and realistically, the issue I always knew in my head, I was just like getting confirmation on stuff. But for me, I want to be that type of person that people can be the best version of themselves. And if they're not aligned with that, have someone that can be honest with them, but at the same time know that it's because I've got your best interest at heart, not because I'm thinking I can make money out of you or I can exploit this situation. Yeah. I realised that my business has grown on that, and then everything else has just been a massive benefit. And I had some very interesting moments over the last few months where business has been very busy. I may have made a mistake on one or two things, and unfortunately it's only been one or two things. But those learning experiences that I've had when I've made those mistakes have taught me so much about myself and who I am. Yeah. I've always had this like massive desire and passion to just help people. When I was single, like if I was in the facility of a female or something like that, and I had the opportunity to, whether it was to make her smile, make her laugh, or anything else, I just wanted to do the best I could to make sure that someone had that positive thing. When I'm out with my mates, like I'll take the burden of jokes. Like I don't care about that. Like I'll say stupid stuff. I want to be the person that just lights up a little bit, makes it a little bit lighthearted. At a wedding, I'd shout stupid shit and I'd do stupid shit because I want people to smile and be happy.
Yeah, you can see that.
And
1,000%.
And then when it came into this role of like people were just opening up to me in photo shoots because they were just like, this is my problem. And it was only, I listened to Jordan Peterson talking, and he said, someone said to him, are you happy? And he said, after about a 10-minute pause, he went, I am and I'm not. He said, I'm happy because I've got an amazing world and I get to do what I love. But every day people come up to me telling their problems. And I don't know whether it's just me because I've not studied any other photographer, but so many people walk into the photo shoot with me and instantly tell me their problems, what's wrong with them, what's not right with them. And I sit there every day going, why are so many people just not happy in themselves? Like, why are these things like almost like such big blocks for them? It's like there's a big wall in front of them.
1,000%.
And then I had to learn this way of like, because it's so important to help people, because I don't know how not to be this person, but I see people doing it and I'm like, this person needs my help. They don't know that they need the help because they're not being attractive. They're not being attractive to themselves. They're not being the type of person you want to be around. You know, if I turn up and start moaning about everything, I've told you everything that's going on with my life currently, but I still have a laugh, I still crack a joke because I can't let that depict who I am. They're just times and situations in my life. I have bad love handles. I don't sit there and go, I can't be a good person, I can't be a good dad because I've got love handles. They're just part of me and I just got to get on with it. And people come in with all these issues and problems, and it's like, it's amazing that I get to help so many people. I'm confident enough and I'm willing to take the risk of sometimes being wrong in order to hopefully get it right. And then when I get it right, I've got people messaging me or is still in contact with me 2 years later going, I just want to work with you because I might only do half an hour's worth of photo shoots, but the hour and a half I can talk to you,
1,000%.
I feel so good. And like that for me, it's been life-changing. I couldn't give a damn about the money and everything like that. Like, you know, I do well for myself purely because I do a lot of fucking work. I'm never not doing something, but that's because everything means so much to me.
That's powerful, that.
You know,
That's actually powerful.
And also, what's the point in doing all this shit if you're not going to actually like try and just have a good life out of it? Everything's tough. It's never going to be easy. I don't know what people say, oh, it's just be, none of these rich millionaires, like, you know, they've had to go through. A load of the people that I know that make a lot of money are never really that happy. They're just so driven to keep succeeding and winning and doing more. The reality of it is that like, the best thing about it is when I can meet those people and I can have that minute or two where they just drop the act, drop that thing that they have to be, and they can just be themselves. And they suddenly go, you know, I've achieved a load of amazing stuff. I've helped loads of other people. I'm not doing too bad for myself. I'm safe. I can just be me and just relax. And then we get the best out of people. And then you have those moments and memories where you make stupid things up and silly moments happen. You make memories of stuff. And then you go, this is why I do all of it.
1,000%. Yeah, you can tell that's exactly how it is. I remember one time, this kind of relates back to exactly what you said at the end, where it's people focus on not getting it. For people focusing on not getting it wrong rather than getting it right. They're like, I'm just going to play it safe because I don't want to get it wrong rather than getting it right. I think that's the biggest thing. They're like, I'm going to do that, but it might go wrong. And when you're focusing on it not going wrong as opposed to it going right, that's where you need to shift away from that and shift towards, I'm going to get it right instead. And you need to focus on what you're going to do. I remember, I think Alex Samosi said this, where he said, happiness is the opposite of boredom. That's fucking spot on.
Like an interesting, obviously I work with so many online coaches, right? And then I'll get them on phone calls and because I like learning, I ask questions that shouldn't even be in a sales call. As a business owner, like they should be questions that I just go, bum, 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 make the sale, get the photo shoot booked in, move on. But because I'm always learning, and I said, the amount of times I've said on a sales call, what's holding you back right now? And people go, my perfectionism.
Fair.
Like, they're like, I haven't done the documents. I haven't made the things in my business. I haven't posted on social media because I'm so worried about it not being right. And I'm like, if you have any idea that the amount of lack of perfection in everything that I've done, however, it's been to more of a good enough standard than a lot of other people can provide at that level. Most people look, and if I was to say the numbers in my business, they'll go, I want to do that. Like, I'd be amazed to help so many people and get to see the world. And I sit there and go, I've never been perfect. I'm not perfect. There's plenty of flaws to me. However, so many people keep coming to me, and I don't even have to do, I don't even have to go airbrushing my photos because people want to come and be real. They want to feel real because they just want it to be normal. Airbrushing the fuck out of someone is just my way of saying you don't look great. You look tired and ragged. Yeah. You're 25. You should look like you're 18, and let's just polish that up. That's not right. That's not I don't think that's right. And I don't care what other photographers do. Like, my thing is that I want you to feel confident. You know that when you felt good, it's not matter if your hair's slightly out of place or whether your shirt's slightly undone or whatever. You just felt good, and you don't care about that stuff.
How you look and how you feel are two very different things. I've been around some people that are like, you're good looking, and they never feel it. And like, they lack confidence because they don't look good. And it's not necessarily the fact they don't look good, it's how they feel about themselves.
It's crazy.
Time. Yeah.
And it's frustrating. I have so many, like, I'm not being sexist here. I have so many females that are walking in. No, actually, I have so many, like, men generally, as well, right? Who will just come in and go, oh, I don't look like this. I can't be that. And I show them a photo and they literally gobsmacked, right? And it is them. They go, that doesn't look like me. Well, I'm not sure who else it looks like because it definitely looks like you.
1,000%.
And it's because they've never seen themselves like that. And then almost they're saying, oh, like, yeah, but what about this little spot, or what about this? And I'm like, right, okay, we can get rid of a little spot, but just because the right side of your face is slightly, I don't know, tilted, or your right ear is slightly bigger. If someone's looking at that, they've got a big problem. I'm not sitting there flicking through everyone's social media going, where's the problems? Yeah. Where's the problems? There's more in there. My life's too short to be doing that. If you're that good, if you really care that much about what you do, why the fuck are you spending so much time looking at everyone else's, like, issues or perceived flaws? Why are you being that person that sits there and picks on those? Why do you wonder why you're not getting to where you want to be? If you spent that 10 hours a week that you don't take action and you're sitting there picking on flaws out on everyone else, that's the reason why you're not getting to where you want to be. 100%. And if you actually just cross that off your list, right? And you sat there and you did every single challenge that you needed, every task, every form, and you were selling because you just had so much passion to help people. And even if it wasn't perfect, you were still going to help them change their life. You would have the business you want, you'd be happy, you'd be more successful, and you would achieve so much more. And you'd look back and go, my life is less stressful because I'm not looking for issues. You want to look and learn from issues and evolve and improve. My business has dramatically improved in 4 years because I've been doing it so much. My business hasn't improved because every day I wake up in the morning and I'm petrified of there something being wrong. That is literally one of the last things on my mind when I wake up. I'm sitting there thinking, got to take action today. I need to help people. I want to be in the best version of myself. Let's get to the gym. Let's get some steps in. Let's train. Let's read. Let's do something, eat some good food. And then let's go out and be a good person and be someone that in the future you look back and go, yeah, that person actually helped me at that stage of my life. Not be someone that's sitting there looking for perfection and just like everything's got to be perfect. If it's not right, you're a fraud. You're not perfect. Yeah. Who gives a fuck about that? And if you do, you have got a problem and you need to stop looking at it. I
speak to a lot of people that do the exact same thing where they're looking at other people's lives. They live in other people's lives. And I always say that. And it's like, I can't do this because of that person. I literally remember, I think it was a few weeks ago where one of my clients, she wants to be a PT, but she's like, what's everyone back home going to say? And it's, now, if you let that matter a year from now, or plenty of years from now, you're going to look back and be like, those people weren't going to say anything in the first place. They're not bothered about it.
And normally the person you're worried about seeing that thing...
They're too busy.
Well, no, the person you're worried about seeing is probably even not going to pay you, not interested in working with you. Yeah. You don't want to work with them because the level of you've already put them on a pedestal already. Yeah. So you're not going to work with them because it just wouldn't work. So you're so worried about a load of things that wouldn't even work. And then you're stopping yourself from being... What you're doing is just procrastinating from being the person that you need to be. Yeah. And then I think a lot of people are actually scared of seeing just how much potential they actually have.
scared of doing well because
they're just I'm capable of so much more, and I'm not allowing myself to be that person, and it's frustrating. I know I can do so much more, and at the moment I've got a lot of stuff going on in my brain with house move, baby, all sorts of stuff. There's not one second that I'm going to stop. Like when I'm on the way home, I'll be listening to more podcasts. I'll be thinking like through how I can improve things, how I can make things better. And then when I can take action, it's like boom, boom, boom. I've got to take action, and it's changed my life.
Yeah.
You know, and it's changed so many other people's lives. So, like when people are telling you these things, you're if you're listening to this right now, you're putting your attention onto me because you know I'm going to have something, or we're going to say something, right? So people that have had success or doing something or want to help others are telling you exactly what to do. Don't fixate on stuff. Do it to the best of your ability. Get it out there and improve it and make it better and make it better until the point where you get it so good that it doesn't matter about the rest of it, right? But you won't. And I guarantee you won't. You'll be sitting there in a week's time going, I still haven't done it. And then I ask you, is your priority to help and do the thing that you want to do? Is your priority to be judged by others to make sure that you're perfect? And is that why you're not doing it?
Exactly.
And then if you're saying, no, I'm too worried about that, I always then worry that people are running a business and they're just going to drive their brains into the ground, because running a business is tougher than I even realised it was going to be. But that's what's made me more resilient and stronger.
You learn a lot about yourself, don't
100%.
you? It's mental. Yeah. I literally speak to a lot of guys and they're like, that business, your work works on you more than you work on it. And it's like every time when you develop through work, it's like you actually become a different character every single time. When you started off, you were a different character compared to now. And it's like that whole journey, it's massive how much of a difference it makes. I think the biggest thing I love though is that you make time for yourself as well. I know you're probably going to say you don't, but generally I think it's like you still have that thing where you're the person leading the ship. So if you didn't go through the experiences, your business wouldn't be as great. So you've actually been open to that growth opportunity. Like, right, I'm actually going to, by focusing on myself, I can focus better on the clients and the business I want to run. And people that are running business, people that listen to this is like, you're the person that's running the ship and everything relies on you. So you need to be at your absolute best in your A game. Otherwise, it's all going to come back. So you've done that as well, which is the best part. And I think that's a lot of value because there's people that are like, it's not the business that's holding them back, it's they're holding themselves back. Or even if you take it out of business, it's like, it's not that they can't do it, they're just holding themselves back. And they're like, they're pretty much the only thing that's in the way. And the only person that's in the way is not external, it's always internal with that scenario. I found it for myself. I was like, not sure if I can do this, not sure if I can do that. You're always getting your own way. And it's like, you're the only person that's there. Transformation, business, life, relationships. And when you get to a position where you just get your own way and you're just like, fuck that, it doesn't matter, I want to make it work. You feel so good about yourself and it's like life becomes so much better.
I'm nothing special.
Yeah.
There is zero, and you can probably ask my wife about this, right? There is nothing about me that is absolutely world class. Yet I know so many people have said to me, I wish I could do how you are and be how you are and be driven. And I'm like, there's nothing. I didn't plug into a computer and upgrade my brain to like 2.0. Yeah. I didn't suddenly just like skip a couple of light years and go and learn all this stuff in advance and come back. It's just being real.
It's how you do it.
Like I have to make time for my family. Yeah. At the moment, if you want the honest answer of it, my biggest concern
is time.
It is enough time with my son. Yeah. If something was to happen to my son, I would be absolutely distraught, right? I can't sit there and think like that. I'm so fortunate. I've given him some good genes and so is my wife, that he is such a happy little boy. I just don't get enough time with him. But what I hope and what I pray that he sees in the future is that when he was young, I did everything I could to make sure that when in the future, he had the building blocks to be able to grow and he was safe. And he had a dad who did everything to make sure that was the case. So I'd rather be a role model than someone go and look at that other person. Like there's not too many other business owners or like people that I look at that have got families. Most of them don't have that. I've always looked for that type of person. I've always wanted to find that business leader who's a family man who does all those things, because it's so hard to be able to do all these things. I've got to drive in myself because I realise I can do something and I'm not going to take my foot off the gas. However, I am forcing myself to take more time off. I'm forcing myself to be more present. And I know that once, currently, like I said, the house move and all the baby, baby during 10, 11 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever it is. Once that's done, I am then going to be more of a father. But that then shifts the emphasis to like, okay, I'm going to be really present with them. I need to be really good at work. And that's the challenge that I like. It's like, that's my challenge. I'm going to be really good at that. So when I go home, I can be the best father and not be stressing about everything. And genuinely, a lot of it comes down to just setting yourself up financially to have a comfort blanket that you know that you're okay. The rest of it will solve itself. You just need time. The big thing is that if you don't give yourself that, if you don't find a way to just have that bit that just gives you that blanket, you're always going to be stressing. And I think that's why it's keen then to just take action, learn as you go, really take action and go, okay, this isn't working. My check-in process is taking me too long. I need to improve it. Like that's when you hire a coach and go, right, I do this. And they go, well, you should simplify this, this, and this. Do you really need that, and that? And you go, wow, that's just saved me half an hour per check-in. All of a sudden I can do double the amount of check-ins in the same amount of time and earn double the amount of money, right? So it's quite simple. It's just simplifying things, right? And that's why business coaches are brilliant at what they do, because they simplified everything and did it at scale, right? So it is about simplifying, but you just need to take action. And one of the best bits of advice I ever got was genuinely just to split the income that comes into my business in 3 different ways, so that I had money to run the business, money for tax, and then money for savings. As soon as I did that, I spent a year or 2 grafting away because all those numbers seemed quite small. And after doing it for a couple of years, now I've got money put aside for everything that I need. So I know for the next 6 months, I'm safe. And then all of a sudden there's money at home and I'm like, right, I've grafted to put us in that place. Now that's happened, I can, if there's ebbs and flows or things change, I've got the space to be able to
You've got security.
Work. And operate. Because that's what you want to do. You want to be able to operate at the same pace. You want to be able to do those things. And that for me was one of the biggest changes for me. And I was terrible with money at the start. I used to just spend everything. And so I've had some very, very dramatic learning curves thrown at me. Would I change any of it? No. Would I go back and have made it easier for myself? Yeah, I wish I'd listened. I really do wish I'd listened, because I did a hell of a lot of hours that I probably didn't need to do if I'd just known to be sensible.
Yeah, but you would have learned that if you didn't go through that. That's the biggest thing. So I don't think you would have changed it, to be fair.
No, I wouldn't change it now.
Adversity is the biggest thing.
It was just at the time, it was like,
at the moment, I was like kicking a dick. Yeah.
At the time, I was suddenly thinking my tax bill is going to be rather big, and I haven't got any money here. But it pulled a different side out of me. It taught me so much. And COVID, as much as it was terrible, was one of the best things that happened to me.
I would say the same.
It really, because I went to nearly zero. I know a lot of online coaches could shift online. I couldn't shift my business online because none of the photographers were out there shooting photos. Well, so I was near. I had about 2K in the bank.
Fair.
And it wasn't fair. It was fucking awful.
Wasn't
one of the best times of my life. Sitting there at home, my wife was pregnant. I was nearly bankrupt. And it was just like, I was sitting there going, how do we get through this? No government help, because I just pivoted my business over the wrong time to do all of it. But actually, looking back at it now, damn, I learned a lot.
You went through that strong.
And most people that have ever gone through some sort of trauma would never take that trauma away, but they just wish the outcome wasn't as terrible as what it was. And I think looking back at that situation where I was almost, slowly getting towards going to be bankrupt, was making me realise just how much I needed to take action. And when Boris said we could go back to work, I was out. I was taking, and literally the floodgates opened, and I was getting other photographers messaging me, "Are you okay to work?" And I was like, I really don't care. I'm helping people. He said we can go to work if you can't work from home. That's all I needed to hear. I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm outside, fresh air. I'm healthy. If it takes me, then
I think I remember that. I remember watching your stories. I didn't work with you until April, but I don't remember that. It was you're going out at midnight, 6 a.m., 4 a.m., that sort of thing. Just doing everything.
Just doing as much as I could. And it was just because I was I had a baby on the way. I had a baby coming. What are you going to do? You're just going to sit there and just go, oh, life's a bit tough. They've said I shouldn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or are you going to take action?
1,000%. I had the same thing where it's I remember I was in Australia, and this got financed through university, and I'd saved up. I literally worked I was working 4 jobs to save up for a year of travel with university. But I remember I came back and minus 2K, That's my max overdraft. I can't really ask for friends and family to support me because we didn't have much, but like more so it was like came back home and I was like, shit, got zero money. And then I was like, I think it was when I jumped on the OTE and I was like, I can afford the first month. But I don't know how you're gonna get the second month. And it's like, I'm gonna take that action because I was trying it by myself for a while and I was like, it's not working, what's gonna happen here? I'm kind of stuck. And when you take a leap to ask for help as well, that was the turning point for me. I literally, on my first year of business mentorship, my first month, I had enough for the first month. And then after that, I was like, I don't think this is going to work. I was waiting for that day 30 where it comes out again. And I was like, I need to make something work in 30 days. And I just went all into that. And it was like, you make it work under pressure. That's the biggest thing. And it's like when you're in a comfort bubble, you're like, I can make it work, but I don't need to. That kind of kills a lot of people. And they're like, I'm in an okay place. You're uncomfortably comfortable. But when you get to a position where it's like, I've got pressure now. I need to make it work. It's powerful.
One of the best things that someone told me, I can't even remember who it was, but they said, you have to learn to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I travelled around on the golf tour. I was often, I flew to Morocco, got in a car, and they were like, go and find this hotel on a golf course in a place I couldn't read half the road signs. I didn't know. I used the phone sat nav. It cost me £500 on a phone bill just to get to the hotel. Right, luckily it wasn't my phone bill, it was the company's phone bill. They should have thought more ahead of this, right? I then flew to Morocco and then I had to go and make an event work. I was in charge of it. I was 24, 25. Yeah, it was about 24, 25. Flew to Morocco and I was completely out of my comfort zone. I didn't know how I was going to make it work. And I just remember getting home from that and thinking,
it'll be all right.
Yeah. If I can make that work where I've got no idea, I'm in Africa, I'm literally in a different continent, I've got no idea where I'm going, I just need to learn and make plans and take action. And it all happened. And I just remember I don't know where I heard it, but it was that learn to be comfortable when everything is uncomfortable, find comfort in that. The fact that my life is uncomfortable right now, I'm okay.
Get in with it.
Because it's just like, when I look back, someone said to me the other day, I should write a book. And I'm sitting there going, in the last 5 years, having 2 children, getting married, opening a gym, traveling the world, effectively 100x in my business from when it started to a place now where people are asking me for advice. And I'm sitting there going, every bit of this has been so uncomfortable. There's been so many. I employed my dad for a while. He was driving for me. I bought a brand new car for the first time in my life. Imported a Tesla. It was crazy. Electric cars, running a premises, paying VAT, all of this stuff. And it was every challenge has just been tough. And then I look at it now and go, I managed.
Yeah.
And so it's finding that being comfortable with being uncomfortable is the best thing you'll ever do, because then what's going to phase you?
1,000%. It's adversity as well. People are it's different for me. I was like, that's the fucking best part. It's different for you. So in that scenario, you're going to make things so much better for yourself. And it's when people, they want that certainty element and security, but I don't want that. I don't think we both do. And it's when you have variety and it's actually, things can go upside down tomorrow and you're I'm okay with that. I'll make it work. I love when things aren't working more because I'm going to make it work and actually enjoy that process. And you get comfortable with the fact that it's never going to be perfect. It's just massive when you go from security, always chasing security, life's better for that every single time that you make things work and you have the experiences. Because I don't want to get to a point where I'm 60 and I'm I wish I did a bit more than that. That's literally what I'm scared of. I'm I don't want to get to a point now, not even 60, but 30 in 5-6 years. And I'm I don't want to get to that point now where I'm looking back, I'm what did I do in my 20s? I want to be I've done all these things and I'm proud of that. But I didn't want to do any of them because I was scared, but I still did it. That's the biggest thing for me. I think that's huge that you said that. It's powerful.
It's just got to take action, got to get things done, haven't you? It's
what was the biggest light bulb moment when you just started believing for yourself?
My biggest light bulb moment. So before I actually took my business forward, I was working in Abu Dhabi on the Gulf, and I'd had some BMX photos that I used to work with a magazine, and I flew to Abu Dhabi. I wasn't too happy because at the time I was single and I wasn't meeting anyone. Nothing was quite working out. And I was in Abu Dhabi, went to the supermarket to go and get some food and supplies and stuff. And the magazine that I had a photo in was in Abu Dhabi, where I don't know if there's any BMXs in Abu Dhabi. Like, well, that was like 10 years ago, let alone now. Right, it's probably more likely now. So I flew to Abu Dhabi. I saw my photo printed in a magazine, and I was like, wow, this is mega. I'm stood here with a load of guys that won't understand this, and I showed them, well, that's my photo. You can see my name, and I can show you the photo on my phone. And I was like, wow, this like I'm halfway, to me, it was halfway around the world, and I'm seeing my photo. And then I realized this got published around the world. And when I first heard it, I didn't think of it like Instagram, anyone in the world can check it out. I was actually somewhere else in the world when I saw that. And I suddenly realized, wow, like there is a lot of potential here to just do bigger and more. Yeah. I've always had this thing where I knew, I don't know why I've known this. I've always known deep down, I wanted to get really good at something to learn what my next big thing was going to be. And I've always thought that next big thing would be the thing that really made me something. And I don't know why I've always thought that, but I have. I realized with the BMX and mountain bike thing, that gave me the opening to like take photos, learn. Yeah. Then I got into the fitness thing, which allowed me to then really like scale, because like obviously the fitness scene compared to BMX and mountain bikes like astronomical, right? But then the journey forward after this, and I believe I know what I'm going to do moving forward with all of this, is to help more people with more of this process, the mindset, the action.
Fitness
right?
is like the catalyst. I like that.
Yeah, and that's been part of the journey. But I think it's having these, because I've put myself in a situation to make these things happen, that's allowed these opportunities and doors to open up where I can see bigger and more and potential. And nothing's happened in the last few years other than Dylan being born that's really allowed me to go, okay, I've got a big potential. I've got to really turn up here. Seeing that photo, but this was before the fitness stuff really happened. Seeing that photo and seeing me being published around the world and seeing it, the truth of it, not just thinking, oh, this is in Australia, and not knowing that. Like I went to Dubai and it was in front of me. I opened it. I even left it open just so I could walk away from it knowing it was open. Not many people can say they've done that and have that feeling of like, I'm worldwide.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm walking around going, yeah, this is, I can now just say that like I've had people fly from Australia to come and do a photo shoot with me in the UK. I've flown to Dubai, Portugal, Spain, Germany. Like I've flown around, like I've had my camera in Morocco, Miami, like over, done stuff in the Philippines and stuff. I've been around the world taking photos. And the one big thing I realized is that everyone's got a lot in common. But the world's not a massive place if you don't think of it as a massive place.
100%. That cube in the field analogy. Do you remember that time you did it on me on the photo shoot? And it was like, picture a cube in a field.
Oh, the cube. I mean, the cube's brilliant.
That was brilliant, yeah.
For anyone that's never seen it, there's, to be honest, I'm going to be doing a bit more of this type of stuff.
To Jacob.
So, right, Jake, I'm going to throw you. So, there's a thing called the cube. Basically, I want you to picture a cube in a field, right? How big is that cube compared to the field?
Tiny.
Okay. Is it on the floor or is it floating?
On the floor.
Is it side on or is it square on? Like, are you seeing it at an angle, the point of it, or are you seeing it like completely square?
At an angle.
Okay. What colour is it?
White.
White, okay. So that's how you see yourself. You see yourself as quite a small object that's fairly planted, so it means you've probably got a good little surrounding around you. The fact that it's on an angle means there's a little bit of an edge to you. You're not seeing it like completely square, like there's no like fun to it. But the white means that you're very trustworthy. And like a doctor, you rely upon them. Would you say that's an accurate description of yourself?
I'll say that, yeah.
But the problem is that you see yourself as a small object in that field. Now, what if we turn that into like it was the size of a double-decker bus and that field was more like a football pitch? How would you think about yourself?
If the field was a football pitch.
And you were that double-decker bus? Because you've pictured yourself as that cube in the field. That's how you picture yourself. If you now said, that was me, I was a bigger object in a smaller place, how would you think about yourself? What would you then relate that to? Would you say, I'm a bigger object, I can do more, I've got more confidence, I've got more ability? Right. So many people, when I ask them that question, they tell me, tell me a tiny little cube on the floor.
I just thought like a little Lego brick on the floor.
And so that's the crazy thing is that you don't walk around with this big, like, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I love myself. I like, because then you're just an ego-driven idiot, right? The thing of this is that I suddenly realized that I wasn't this small cube. I could be something more. And the more I pictured myself, and this is what it's about. It's not the actual fact that you said you're a Lego brick or anything like that. It's the fact that you pictured yourself as such a small thing in this world. Whereas I don't sit there and go, I'm the best thing, but I've pictured myself as something bigger. I've pictured myself as more of like, I'm going to be a plane in that forest. So all of a sudden I've got a big wingspan and I'm a bigger object. Then you start looking at life and going, well, if that's me, if that's who I am, what can I do?
It also shows you where you want to improve as well. So you might get to a position where you need to see more. If it's like a small cube, it's like a small pitch. So I think that was like game changing thing for me. Like,
it's that vision of yourself. It's that vision of like, okay, this is how I visualize myself as a small object in a rather large place. If I picture myself as a larger object in a smaller place, I'm then a bigger object. And then if that space around me grows, well, I've got more space to grow. I can be a bigger version of an aeroplane. I can be a bigger thing because you've got more space to grow. And it's all about that growth and that progression. You know, that's where the people that do the best, typically, they won't realize they're doing it, but that's how they're thinking of themselves. I can be that bigger object. I can have that more under me. I can be a bigger person in this world. And you're never going to sit there and think like, I take over the whole forest. If you do, it's probably more the fact that you think you're the best thing ever. And there's probably a lot of, there's probably a lot of stuff that you're hiding in there, right?
1000%. You're trying to portray like a vision yourself that you don't actually believe in. But when you genuinely believe that, I think that's massive. I always see it as well, where you're never looking at where you're at, you're looking at where you want to be and you're always focusing moving forward. I think that's fucking class.
And that's what I mean. If you're seeing that, it can just be massive. And there's a whole load of, to be fair, I learned it when I was dating. And it was the best way of me learning whether that person I was talking to was the right fit for me.
Got it.
Right. And my wife was the only one out of every single female that I went on dates with, and unfortunately I went on quite a few, was the only one that she gave me the explanation of herself, and a lot of it was slightly less. It wasn't this big thing. But one of the questions, if you're asking it more in a dating scenario, is like, what's around the cube? Is it lots of flowers? Is it lots of, or like describe around it? And she said, there's a nice little bunch of flowers and it's all really well kept. And that was how she saw like the family situation. She saw like a couple of little flowers and just, it was really, and that was the first time. And she said to me, I wanted to have a family. And for me, I don't know, most men would probably run from that because they're like, hey, I'm not ready for this. Whereas I was more like, you know what, I want someone that can create a family for me, because deep down I knew that I needed to be this person that provided on a bigger scale, not just for me, because I don't need anything. I would actually be very happy with not a lot, which is what's given me so much, because I don't need a lot. Spending big money on clothes, it never really appealed to me. I'd like to have an R8 at some point because I could afford one. But at the same time, if I don't get it, I will never cry about it. I'll just be like, okay.
Yeah. To be honest, if you wanted it, you probably would get it. That's the thing. I'm like,
I will.
Exactly.
It will happen.
I know that for a fact. Yeah, I'm not going back. It definitely will. It's like one of those things where you'll make it work, and it's the case of either you want to make it work now or you won't. And it's like you want to make it work later. It's kind of like one at a time. That's kind of the goal. I know for a fact you will. That's the best part too. And that's like, you know, when you have those people that believe in you, like if I said to, this kind of come back to what we said at the start, having those people that genuinely want the best for you. Like if I said to Reese, all right, mate, I'm going to do this. He's like, all right, cool. Believe that. The same for yourself. You know, if I say to you, I'm going to do this, yeah, I know you'll make it work. And it's like when you genuinely say that, I think it's class to have that boardroom.
Yeah, the people around you is so vital.
Yeah, 1000%.
You need to have a clear separation with like friends and stuff. Like I've good friends that don't understand anything about the business side of things. They do understand a little bit, but they understand it more from a personal connection point. Whereas I have a lot of people that I work with that I've built really good relationships on that will, I almost want them to call me out. I want them to say, hang on. I struggle with that. That's something that I actually struggle with because I don't have enough around me. A lot of people rely upon me, but I don't have enough around me. But what that's allowed me to realize is I don't really need it. What I actually need to do, is this taking me forward? Am I being congruent with my goals? If I'm not, then I know that I'm not taking the action needed, and I need to then learn to pivot my business, and it's going to take time, but it will happen. And so you need to have good people around you, and also have somewhere that you can go to switch off. Because if you don't switch off ever,
you're going to be unproductive.
you'd end up driving yourself into the ground. And I think you do need that clear switch off. Your next best idea comes from when you switch off. I got told that years ago by the guy who built my PT hub. And I literally went on holiday about 4 weeks after that. And that was when my regular content shoot started. And that was the big game changer for me.
Wow.
So if he hadn't have said that to me and I went away thinking, I'm going to think of something new and big here, and it happened on that shoot, well, what if I just try and tell people I can shoot with them every 3 months and make them loads of content? And everyone was like, well, that solves a problem of mine because I've never got any and I don't know how to look good and I don't know how to take a photo. Yeah. There you go. I've got your solution. All of a sudden, boom, I'm making my business has doubled.
Because you took time away, you just stepped away from that 1,000%. Yeah. It's powerful.
It's all in there. Everyone's capable of doing it. I fully believe it. It's just some people will make it happen. Others will just wish it happened and just say, oh, the world wasn't right for them.
My biggest thing, that was the biggest turning point for me, having limited beliefs that, someone else is going to do it. And it's like, for me now, it's like, and I'll make it work. And it comes to that standpoint now where it's like, you are either going to find reasons why you can or you can't. And it's genuinely, I thought I was that person that was like, someone else is better than me to do it. So I'll leave it to them. Now it's in a position where that's a scarcity mindset. You can all do it at the same time. And some people do better, some people actually push more. But I think there's no reason why you should have that scarcity mindset in anything. No. And I remember I was stuck in a job. I think this was actually 2 years ago, and I was like, this is how it is. And 2 years later, your life is transformed because you actually just took a leap to do something. I think when you go away from having that scarcity mindset and thinking things are a certain way, that's when your life literally changes. And you don't think, I'm a certain way. You think, all right, this is where things are going here. I'm going to analyze it and push forward. There's a quote I love, and it's actually my iPhone lock screen. Is that winners don't wait. And it's if you can stop waiting on the things you want to do, that's a winning mentality every time. So
powerful,
yeah. That's the one.
Amazing.
Good podcast. That was unreal.
Amazing.
I learned a lot about yourself there. So thank you for coming.
Mate, it's been good fun.
Likewise. Appreciate it.